Al Horford missed the Celtics game against the Heat on Monday for the birth of his second child. That made sense to everyone except CSN New England's Mike Felger. He had this to say, blasting Horford after the game.
I know when you make $30 million a year, it ain't much to get a private jet. Wick would probably pick it up. To fly down at 3 o'clock from Atlanta, it's a 90-minute flight to Miami, play the game, and come right back. I'm sure his wife is in the hospital, surrounded by nurses, mothers, aunts, relatives. I just
say it, Felger. Spit it out.
I would have gone to the game. I would have played the game.
He has a point, but don't.
It
ain't the playoffs.
No.
Call me when you have a baby.
Oh, and here's the point.
Listen, he has a point in this regard.
Okay.
He was there for the birth of his child. He made sure the child was healthy, his wife was healthy. He could have flown out the next morning to play in the game in Miami. Right? So he was there the day before when she gave birth, right?
I thought she gave birth on the day of the game.
Listen, I know is
that's different.
That guy's talking about $30 million. He's a broadcaster. What is he saying ain't for? Who is this clown? Where did he get this shirt? That's disrespectful. This is not the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not an important game. But the Celtics have a long bench. He just came off a concussion. Let Al Horford live. I don't like that guy.
I don't even know social media, but his sister had a great message on social media. Horford's sister. I couldn't say it any better.
My producer, Tinez, you need to get me that information because I think he was wrong. Now, if he had to fly out...
Either way, here's the deal. You make the decision for your family. You have 4 kids.
Sure.
You know what is right for your wife. You know what is right for the birth of each of those children. If you decide you need to be there for any of the hours before, after, or during one of those children are born, that is more important than a basketball game.
I agree. It is Rachel.
I agree.
Boston, it was his first year. It was a tough situation.
Inconsequential game. Mike Felger gets the Mike Felger. I give you the Mike Felger.
I don't know what that is.
And get a new shirt, okay, if you're going to be on TV. And don't say ain't. Speak proper English. I'm just a guest. I'm just a flunky off the street here, Rachel. You know what I mean? I don't have the cashmere like Mac and the customs like PJ. I'm just a guy off the street. What do I know?
You look beautiful.
You look fantastic,
Please come back and see us again. That's all I have to say. We have more to come on The Jump, but first, it is time for our distant replay. This day back in 2008. Take a look, everyone.
Derek, one-on-one at the top. Starts, probes.
Oh my God. What's Miller?
Andre.
I fell down.
Oh my.
Derek Rose doing that for the Knicks now?
He's getting there.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit.
So do we feel that the double dribble violation set the tone
Come on,
for
Ken
Dallas?
is right there. How can you not see this, Ken?
Change that rule. You can't do that anymore.
And travel. Well, they did change that. You can travel in the NBA now.
Hey, we are in Brooklyn. Street ball, that's where they do a lot of that.
Come on. That was just right at the top of the game, and you got to think that was the beginning of what we know was the end for Doc Rivers. But we'll get to that. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Our featured Hall of Famer, Tracy McGrady, is back with us. Mr. PJ Carlesimo is back with us. We're very, very happy. And Michael Rappaport is waiting in the wings here. We are stacked here. Mike will be with us for the next segment. But first, guys, here is a news flash for you. Winning, it turns out, is hard. And winning over and over again, that's even harder. Yeah, I know. You come to The Jump for this kind of razor-sharp analysis here. But really, while it sounds ridiculous to have to say this out loud, I am stunned every year when the reality of that comes along and smacks a team in the face, as it has appeared to smack the Los Angeles Clippers. Allow me to review the Clippers season so far. They started out healthier than they have been in years, and with more continuity and talent than 90% of the other teams in the NBA. And they played up to that talent for the first month of the season, and that was fun to see. But here's the thing. These games, they're not played in a vacuum. You're not just trying to win one game 82 times. You are trying to build a tower of wins. And yeah, that's the part where it gets harder, because it requires keeping up the effort and communication consecutively, night after night. And this seems, confusing right now to Los Angeles. They've lost 3 games in a row to teams with much less talent, last night's game in Brooklyn being the most graphic. And afterward, Doc Rivers summed up the problem as well as anyone. Quote, "We've been walking around like we've done something. Look, we haven't done crap," Doc said. And it bothers me on a basketball level. I didn't like it. I didn't want us to lose, but I'm all right with it, honestly, because I think you deserve it when you do that. Folks, this is why Golden State's 73-win season remains so crazy impressive, even though they didn't win a title at the end of it. Frankly, it's why the Warriors are so impressive right now, because they have won 12 straight. That is hard. If the Clippers want to play in Golden State's sandbox, and they say they do, weeks like they've had this past week, they just can't happen even in November. Now, guys, we also have to talk about the specific meltdown, of course, that occurred at the end of the first overtime last night. Doc, you see him arguing with Ken Maurer, called him for a tech because Doc crossed the court when he was talking to the other official, and then he gave the second tech, and you can see Doc really not happy with that as he's getting thrown out of the game. I mean, look.
I played for Doc for 3.5 years, and I've never seen him react that way.
You listen to the announcers here; they say the same thing. They were. I know we have had. They said they've never seen him that mad.
Animated discussion. Well, there's a history. Lauren Holtkamp had an issue before with the Clippers,
Paul, yeah.
And he was having a civil conversation with Lauren. She was trying to walk him back to the bench, and Kenny Maurer, a veteran official, came in looking out for the younger official and fired in with the first tech, which upset Doc. Then came the second tech.
Which is okay, because just like Doc is protecting his players, Kenny was protecting
Lauren.
protecting
One
Lauren.
tech would have been fine. One tech would have been fine. I don't think Doc would agree now, but he lost it because he's telling Kenny, now, what are you talking about?
Right.
I was talking to her. You were over there. You had nothing to do with the play. Then forget about it.
I think this is bigger than, that little episode right there. It's probably a cumulative things of that escalated throughout the
look, I was just talking about his guys not putting forth what they need to win a bunch of games. And you heard his quote afterward. He is frustrated because you do get this feeling with the Clippers. They almost read some of their, this is one of the smartest teams, smartest locker rooms in the NBA, but it almost seems like they read some of their own press in the first
Well, I mean, these guys have been together for quite some time, and you, with them being healthy with this core group, they showed how good they can be. Now, the complaint is, can they stay focused and sustain this throughout
the
season?
That's a separate thing, right? It's not just being good enough to win. It's being good enough to win over and over.
The bar is set really high. He's seen this before. And by the way, next game is at Cleveland.
Right.
They've lost 3 in a row. Hates the way they lost last night.
And
guess where we got to go after that?
Right?
There was a lot behind this. And there may be history with Kenny and Doc. When you've been in the league as long as those two have, they've crossed paths before.
I think this is a reaction to get your team's attention.
Well, that's what I was wondering. If maybe he was overdoing it a little bit to spark the team. It did not work, of course. And I was
how they got into New York. They missed 3 free throws of the 4 technicals.
I know. Jamal Crawford
and Jamal hits the
again,
shot to get it into another overtime. But
pretty good.
Too little, too late.
We were trying to find video of you getting thrown out of the game.
What we got? We got Coach?
Tracy, we couldn't. He's clean. He's
College,
fine.
yes. NBA,
come on, Coach.
Look, but he is. You can see him holding back.
I spent 5. Bud's in there close. I spent 5 years, but because I know Pop, I knew I'd get to coach a couple games a year when Pop got thrown.
Right.
Pop's got a shorter fuse than just about anybody.
Coach a little darker right there too. Look at him.
He's a lot darker. A little more cash.
That's so nice. That's very impressive, though, that you've never gotten thrown out. We'll see if by the end of the show you get thrown out of the show.
I may get thrown
Tracy
today.
can hold you back. If Mike Rappaport comes on, you never know what's going to happen. I want to move on to San Antonio, where they suddenly can't win a home game for some reason. And last night's loss to Orlando, particularly rough for Tony Parker. 29 minutes, 0 for 6 shooting, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, look, the struggle's real for the 34-year-old Parker. He is averaging 11 points and 4 assists per game this season. You've both been part of the Spurs organization. You know Tony and how important he is to that locker room, especially with Tim gone. But still, at some point, Pop is going to have to move on from him. Do you think it's time?
I think it's time that you cut his minutes down. He can't be the primary guy for this team. What he was so good at as being one of the best point guards in our league is because of his speed. He gets into the paint. He's one of the best at getting in the paint and with his little floater. That is no longer the case with Tony Parker. He's slowed down a lot. These guys that he's playing against they're fast. I think he has to cut back on his minutes because he just can't provide that on a consistent basis anymore. Now, he'll give you sparks here and there, but as far as being consistently, I don't think he can provide that.
Well, it was interesting. I was talking to Pop yesterday, trying to find a restaurant in Los Angeles, not for any good reason. I said, Pop, man, I'm going to be in L.A.
That's
Where am I going to go?
So
he gave me, and I said to him, how's Manu and Timmy going? Because they're Tony going. They're the 2 guys I was with the longest, and he was bragging on how well Tony was playing. Now, I was in Rio this summer broadcasting the Olympics, and TP played pretty well for France, but that's kind of telling because both he and Manu have a lot of years where they played all the way into May or June, and then they always play for Argentina and France in the offseason, so it's difficult. Is Tony Parker the player he was a couple years ago? Absolutely not, but Pop was, and this is talking to me, not talking to, for publication. He said, no, I really like the way he's running the team. I like his attitude. He's been real great with the transition because this team is now Kawhi's team and LaMarcus's team. They're also trying to integrate Pau Gasol into the mix right now. I think you're right. Patty Mills is playing great. He's got no problem giving Patty more minutes. Danny Green's still a young guy. I think they're okay. They were playing extremely well. You referenced it in the beginning. They haven't lost on the road. All four of their losses in the AT&T. They lost one game at home last year.
One thing Tony Parker is a smart basketball player. So he can go out there and still run the team. But as far as providing what he used to, no, I don't think he could do
Well,
that.
his usage rate is lower. He's got
different
six
Tony
spots
Parker.
now, obviously. But Pop said much the same thing to the media that he did text you. He got very upset when someone suggested Patty Mills should maybe be starting or playing more. And he said, "What are you trying to start a quarterback controversy?" I think Tony was.
Words.
I know Tony was out for a couple games. He's like, "You're trying to turn him into Lou Gehrig." I don't know. I mean, it's Pop, so don't suggest to him what he should do with his lineup. Thank you. I do want to talk Russell Westbrook, the Thunder, hosting the Wizards tonight, so we will see if Russ can keep up his triple-double pace against John Wall. But at least one other NBA coach, not that impressed, guys. Our Tom Haberstroh asked Detroit's Stan Van Gundy what seemed like a pretty innocuous question. Hey, Westbrook, those triple-doubles, that's pretty good. Stan answered with how Oscar Robertson was really the best player of all time. There was a whole rant about Oscar playing every night. Listen to Van Gundy. I can't do it as well.
Supposedly our athletes are better conditioned. We have all this science, and they're not capable of just playing as much. Maybe one of the reasons Chicago won as much as they did is Michael played every night, and he played 38 minutes every night. And so where were you ever getting an edge on him?
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Tom, for that tape. And I do want to say, this whole thing started because he asked him about Westbrook, and he's talking about Oscar Robertson, and I don't understand why if you praise one, you have to rip on the other one. They were both great. We are lucky to have been able to watch both of them.
He can't be talking about Westbrook because Westbrook is on the court all the time. So
Westbrook has played every game.
Right, he plays every.
When he was injured, he had that bad injury Christmas Day a couple of years ago. But other than that, he always plays.
Westbrook is not a guy that is going to miss back-to-backs. That's just not, he's not built that way. If he's healthy enough to be out on the basketball court, he's going to provide that.
Now,
other players, yes, I question that as well. Yes, some of these guys are soft because they can't play back-to-back, and you're probably in your fifth year in the NBA. I mean, what is that? Oscar Robertson, back in the day, averaged 44 minutes.
44 plus.
And didn't have the science that we have, the technology in his shoes. He played in bricks, and he was out there.
They were flying charters and staying.
Right. Absolutely.
Right, exactly. No, not exactly.
So, I reason with that, with Stan on that. But he can't be talking about Westbrook because he's always available.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, look.
Russell's spectacular. They're both, put Russell back then, bring Oscar now, the numbers are going to be the same. They're spectacular. But I love the one point he made. I know when coaching against this guy, you were happy when he was on the bench. You had to make the hay for 8, 10, 12 minutes when he's on the bench. When Michael went to the bench, everybody went, you look up at the sports and we got to close it. We got to close the gap.
That's a little bit unfair. Michael went to the baseball field, all right? So Michael took time off. Let's not pretend Michael didn't take time off. And the fact that these guys are playing a little bit less means that you are, as a fan, getting better minutes out of a lot of them. I'm watching guys go all out all the time when I see them play.
But you know, and the players know, there are guys who are going to give you everything they have every night. And there are guys who are going to take advantage of the modern science when I need time off or I can't play today. I mean, that's reality.
Did you really spend 5 years with the Spurs organization? Because you're not sounding like it right now.
Well, hey, Pop rests the old guys. Pop's not resting the young guys. You watch the minutes those other guys are playing.
Just like I don't have a problem with somebody like LeBron James resting. I mean, a guy
he should rest.
Absolutely.
You got to drag him off the court.
No.
Thank you.
Blake Griffin rested last night. Didn't go too well for the Clippers. I'm just saying. We're going to take a quick break.